Hello, 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 and welcome to Total Mage. So recently, an article on the BBC News website popped up, and it's titled, "My son spent £3,160 in one game." And it is by Zoe Kleinman. And what it is a series of stories of different parents talking about how their children have spent obscene amounts of money on video games. And I'm going to link the article below in the description, and I'm just going to go through a little bit of this because I find it infuriating. And I'm usually on the opposite side of this issue because I personally do not like the predatory behavior of EA. I think it's gambling. I think what a lot of these companies have figured out is they've figured out how to create electronic gambling, and I think it should be heavily regulated. I think it should be very tightly controlled. Even though I'm a libertarian, I'm not for people being taken advantage of, and I think that smarter people have a responsibility to try to set up a society in which people that aren't as intelligent are not constantly a victim to those with, shark skills. So, jumping right into the article, it starts off with, it generated a big debate about whether parental controls are sufficient, how much responsibility lies with mom and dad, and the ethics of encouraging young players to spend money within games and apps. I could stop reading the article right there, and that sums up the entirety of the responsibility of this article. Now, I get that these companies are doing things that are very predatory and they're aimed towards children, but it's your child. My 5-year-old does not have access to the internet. When my child is 8, he will not have unfettered access to the internet. And when my child is old enough to have access to the internet, he will not have access to the internet on a device that is linked to the access to my bank account. Actually, I can't think of anything that I have currently other than my Amazon account that has a link between purchasing online and payment. Like, it just doesn't exist in our house because we're not stupid. People get into this stuff, people do things, and you're responsible for them. It's consumer awareness. People need to be aware that you put your information into these websites, you put payment information in, and you run the risk of money being spent without your permission because you've given the app permission to spend money. Doesn't matter what the parental controls are. Your children are probably smarter with technology than you are. They're going to figure out a way around it. Sorry, tough stuff, The article then goes on to reference a tweet from Tom Watson, who apparently is some type of political person in Britain. And the tweet goes as follows: "This alarming case of children racking up huge debts on FIFA highlights considerable fears that gaming is a gateway to gambling, with boys and girls hooked in at a ridiculously young age by loot boxes. This case for tighter regulation is overwhelming." And you know what, Tom? I agree with you. I agree with you that loot boxes are gambling. I agree with you that loot boxes are predatory. What I do not agree with you about is saying, my child went into the casino and they, let him play blackjack with my credit card and it's the government's fault. No, why does your child have your credit card? Why are you letting your child into the casino? Why aren't you watching your child? It's not the responsibility of the people on the other end of the internet connection to validate that your child is a child or an adult. That's not how the internet works. We've been with the internet for 20 years. This is an 8-year-old child, which means the parents, let's argument's sake, say the parents had the child late, so they had the child when they were 30, so now they're 38. So that means that these parents have lived with the internet since their teens. They know better. This is bad parenting. You go through this article, it's example after example after example. My son spent £3,160 in one game. And I feel bad for this person. I really do. She goes on to write in the article, "I have a 22-year-old disabled son who has cerebral palsy, complex epilepsy, autism, learning difficulties, and approximately cognitive ability of a 7-year-old child. He's unable to do any bilateral activities, so relies heavily on his iPad and PlayStation for entertainment and educational activities. He has recently begun playing a game on his iPad called Hidden Artifacts, which involves finding various items and matching them to the description. He has been charged £3,160 between the 18th of February and the 30th of May, clearing out his entire savings. I contacted iTunes. They were extremely helpful, but weren't able to refund the money. She tried to contact Glassworks Ltd. They haven't gotten back to her, and she feels helpless. And you know what? I understand that your child is at a disadvantage, that this young man is at a disadvantage. I get that. I ask though, I really ask, if your child has the cognitive ability of a 7-year-old, why is his life savings linked to his iTunes account? Why? This person is not living alone autonomously. This person is living as a child with the cognitive abilities of a child. He's being supervised. Why is he not being supervised? I understand you feel like you've been preyed upon, and you have been preyed upon, but you've been preyed upon because you're not paying attention. There's one aspect of this debate where I agree 100%. We need to regulate loot boxes. We need to do away with online gambling. It's not a good thing, okay? It is not a good thing. But on the other side of the coin, people have to stop pointing the finger for their lack of parenting, for their lack of responsibility, and they need to take ownership for their own lives and take care of their business and stop asking the freaking government to step in and be the adult. Thanks as always for stopping by. If you enjoyed this video, hit that like button. If you're new to the channel, hit that subscribe button. And as always, I will see you next time.